And social media, although it's supposed to make you feel not alone, people feel very alone with social media, right? Because it's only what's presented. You don't know actually if that's real or not, right?
Yeah.
So I think that face-to-face personal connection, and also that you see in yourself other people. So we're not that different, right?
Hey everyone, welcome back to Bucks Co-Living, the podcast that tells the stories of Bucks County, the people, and all the history of it. Now today I have Ashara Shapiro. Ashara is someone that cannot be matched. She is a curator, a published poet. She's an artist. She is so much in Bucks County, in the art in Bucks County, and she is breaking all the molds of what art is. And I want to welcome her so much to this podcast. This is something that I've been very excited about. Ashara, thank you for coming.
Thank you, Anthony.
I did my little deep dive. It's actually with a week of this, and going down the rabbit hole from someone that I have no clue about art. How did you, first off, let's tell your story. You're from California, correct?
Yep, born in San Francisco.
Yeah, you moved from San Francisco, which is very artsy. You went to college at Emerson. And what was that like? Was art always in your passion?
I've been an artist since the beginning. Yeah. Anything that I could get my hands on creatively, I tried for sure. My passion early was the performing arts. That was really my focus, and that's what I went to college for. But anything arts related that I could study, learn, play with, I was in it as a kid for sure.
Now, you did off-Broadway. First off, you got a magna cum laude from Emerson, which is impressive. You worked your ass off for that. So if your kids are listening, you worked your ass off for that, right? So
I should remind them actually now.
yeah, you should like, hey, by the way, did you know I worked my ass off?
No, you know what? I think I just realized really early that education was like the ticket to all things. I was like an avid reader as a kid. It was like my favorite thing to do. We didn't even have a TV for a bunch of years when I was a kid. So I would be lost in sort of these other worlds, which I really think lends itself into the theater piece. But yeah, I knew that as long as I had a good education and I worked hard at that, then like the world opened up, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Now, as you performed, you were enacting, you're published, and you made this shift from California to Bucks County. How did that transition go? Because that's from California to State Street is a whole different world.
I grew up in Marin County, which is right outside of San Francisco, but I've always been this adventure-seeking human, and so I wanted to go to the complete opposite coast for college, so that was intentional. And I loved Boston. I loved Emerson. I finished my acting major in 3 years, and so I thought I need to do something else besides that. So in my last year, I did the 2-year teaching program, so I actually had a teaching degree as well when I graduated. And then I moved to New York City because I thought I wanted to open my own theater companies. Actually, it was that drive. I taught for a couple of years in Boston. High school, like seniors were my favorite, that level. Yeah. And we did a lot of like process pieces and really creative things. And then I moved to New York City and got lost in the city. And so did many things. I had many careers when I was in New York and ended up meeting my husband there, who's from Bucks County. So we would come and visit. Bucks County, now it's much more developed than it was then, right? But there was a feeling that I felt like when I grew up. There was open field, like there was an appreciation for nature. It was a slower kind of life. So I was drawn to Bucks County, for sure. And the history and the art absolutely drew me. I love history.
First off, Bucks County is mostly history, but like it's mostly their landscapes and stuff like that. It's not the art that you promote. It's a little bit different. What did you see in Bucks County that said, hey, let's open up a studio. Let's have non-conventional museums. Let's curate something a little bit different where you can just walk in and learn and loud and brave, right?
Yeah, it was this path. Initially, when I had my kids and they were younger, I was seeing that there was a need for art spaces, but not only just for kids, but for like cross-generational, so like more family. So as an artist myself, like there wasn't a space that I could really go to and flourish simultaneously as my children, right? It was like your children and so this sort of artistic community seed started within me. And this artwork space is 15 iterations later. Originally, it was more of a creative space that encompassed like a whole interactive experience. And then as my kids got older, the space morphed and my thoughts about what was needed changed. The community piece remained. I think that what I saw in Bucks County is there was a need for a place for artists that didn't work in a traditional way, in a traditional form, that is really supported and celebrated in Bucks County. And I started to see there was a lot of artists that didn't fit that mold, but were making amazing work. And it was the things that you would see, like I saw in New York City for the 9 years I lived there, right? So I thought if I can bring that to Bucks County and people don't have to leave, they don't have to go to New York, they don't have to go to Philly to have that experience, that would be amazing. I would want that in my backyard myself. That was how ArtWRKD was born originally, was really focusing on non-traditional work, which we still do. That opened the doors to a lot of outsider artists, which are self-taught artists, which I absolutely love working with so much. They just don't have any sort of like rules like that they've inherited from somebody else, from like a professor or someone else. And so everything they're making is very true and raw and honest and really exciting. And it's also tends to be, in my opinion, very close to their story, like very close to them as an artist. They're not inheriting other things and putting it in. They're just strictly coming from their own space with their own stories. Yeah. And then that blossomed, right? Like I to performing artists, I'm like, what are the immersive experiences? Who can we bring in from the performing arts? Who can we bring in from the music world? And how can we just have a larger conversation and have a larger arts initiative where it's all encompassing? So yeah, so it got like pretty big pretty fast. It's organically grown and we've spider webbed into a lot of different areas. And I basically moved with the community. What does the community want? What do the artists need? And yeah, so here we are almost 4 years later.
Yeah, talk about a whirlwind from 2022 to now.
Yeah.
You've set Bucks County on fire
No.
in such a short time. And I like what you said, and that's what I was thinking when I was reading up. Not everyone fits the mold. They might have went the traditional route through college and learned techniques or something like that. But again, getting lost in the shuffle of New York City, Philadelphia, California. Do you feel like that's something that you needed? That's why you're providing this kind of a safe space or a freeing space with artwork?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think we all need it, not just me, right? I think we all need to be seen and really heard. And I think that this space is really that. This space is open to all people, really. People say, oh, do I have to have shown somewhere to submit work? And I said, no, just submit. It's on the website. Artists are submitting and I'm looking at their work. And one of my favorite things is probably comes from my love of teaching, that background that I have, but I love the mentoring piece and I love to work with artists. I love to go to artist studios and see their world. We had talked earlier about this sort of my performing arts background and how that plays in. That was something that we were talking about discussing, but right then and there, with my acting background, we did method acting, right? So it was forever like into the person. And that is like, what makes the person tick? Why are their mannerisms the way that they are? What is the history, right? And so I deal with artists in that same curiosity is what is their story? Why do they want to say it the way that they want to say it? What is their toolbox? When I go to a studio and I see their world, what does their world look like? And I'm thinking, and there's this back and forth conversation about, okay, so how do we present that in the best, strongest light for the community and for patrons? And that is my absolute favorite part of this whole space, really, is that. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And connecting
It's like a
people.
therapy.
That's huge. You go into a gallery and you never meet an artist. So you just like the work, but you don't really get to have the conversation. And now when people come in here, they get to meet the artist. And so everything means more. Everything is more valuable because you have the story and you have the face.
Do you think that you're giving this opportunity, you're not only you're helping out the artist, but you're also helping out people like idiots like me, that I could ask the artist, hey, what were you thinking in this piece? Where was your headspace? What were you going through during this time? Because I feel like it's a therapy for them and a therapy for anyone that comes to your space to work.
I think it's more just about human connection. I think that this world right now is becoming more and more disconnected and disjointed because we have all this technology. So some people are feeling closer to people they'll never meet, right? Like online in a completely different part of the world, which is a cool part about social media. But also the problem is we're forgetting how to look at one another. You used to know all your neighbors on your block, right? When you were a kid. And now nobody knows anyone, right? And they're just so focused on what's in front of them and they're missing what's around them. And so I think that every chance that we can get to connect to one another locally, these are the people in your world, like these are the people in Bucks County, these are the people in your town, these are the artists in your town. I think that is hugely meaningful, right? Because it makes us feel like we're not. And social media, although it's supposed to make you feel not alone, people feel very alone with social media, right? Because it's only what's presented. You don't know actually if that's real or not, right?
Yeah.
So I think that face-to-face personal connection and also that you see in yourself other people. So we're not that different, right? And that full acknowledgement is a huge part of us working together as a larger society, right? We're doing the small work for the bigger work, I guess you could say, of
Yeah.
connecting.
Now, you chose Newtown, which is when you're lining up towns in Bucks County, maybe New Hope would have been the grab at first. What brought you to State Street other than your finding the open space? What was there a need? Did you see a calling for it that for the art space, or it was just an opportunity?
So I lived in Newtown for 19 years, raised family here. So I do have a connection to Newtown. I was looking for space for a while. So it was a combination of Newtown is my immediate people, right? This is my immediate community. And also, yes, there was a huge need in Newtown for a creative space. We have the Newtown Theater, which is the oldest operating theater in the country, which is amazing. And Andy Smith is doing incredible work there. And that's one part of the arts. But we really didn't have any visual arts. There's some performing arts there, but we really needed to have more for Bucks County and our immediate community. New Hope is known as this arts town, and New Hope has changed a lot. And I really saw that our community was really lacking in that area. So I said, let me try. Let me try Newtown and see how it goes. And it's great because they're happy that I'm here for sure, but also it's so refreshing. I have people come in all of the time that are like, this is amazing. It's so refreshing here. It's so welcoming. There's so many events. There's so many things to do. And that's just the beginning on the State Street. I have a lot bigger plans for Newtown.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about that later. If maybe you can give me a little hint, but I know it's your hush hush. But so you found the space on State Street. It was in passing, and you took that leap. And again, this was a brave move for you. And not only with the artwork, but you also have Arrarrocha, your clothing line, which is, again, if anyone hasn't seen it yet, you take metal and leather and I don't know, do some alchemy and just make these little masterpieces that like I see how you do this. Where did you learn this? This wasn't in your theater background.
No, I've pretty much taught myself or had friends who've taught me for all forms of art. Performing arts is the only arts endeavor that I had schooling in. All the rest was just self-taught, or I knew somebody who was a welder, a friend, and I said, can you teach me that? And they were like, sure. And so a lot of it was trial and error. I remember actually I took a jewelry class. This is funny. I took a jewelry class way after I'd already made wearables. And I was like, oh, I'll see what I can learn. And it was funny because it ended up that all of the ways that I was making were the hardest ways. So many easier ways to do things. And I just got such a kick out of it. I'm like, I wonder what that says, right, about me. But also the doing everything by hand, right? Because they had tools and I'm always doing things by hand, right? So the doing things by hand, even though I learned an easier way, I still ended up going back to that because there's something with working with metal is so interesting, right? It's the thing that doesn't give. But yet you add some fire, you add some heat, and you can manipulate it, and every metal is different. And especially because I'm using repurposed things, it's like you don't know what formulation of metals is in the metal. So it's experimental, and you can't start it with saying this is how it's going to look. You just can't do it with the materials I'm working with. So it's like wood. It's like working with wood. Like I worked with wood in the past, right? It has
Hmm.
its own sort of, and you have to work together organically if you're going to make something really beautiful that is different, right? That isn't your typical, I'm going to cut it. If you're working with the grades and what, and it's the same with metal and it's the same with all these found objects. So it's basically a constant conversation that I'm having with this inanimate object. So what are we going to be? What are we going to do with you? Kind of thing.
Yeah.
I love that. Taking the time to do it, the process of taking time and really just having it be slow and methodical. It's really there, it's like that meditative almost.
Do you walk away from a piece for a little bit, work on it, and then come back to it, or do
Oh
you
yeah.
finish it all in one?
It depends. It depends. Sometimes it's really fast. Like I made this tunic
Yeah,
for the last year's Wearable Art Fashion Show, and I had all my pieces done. And then 48 hours before, I was like, "Oh, I had this really cool like plaster fiber. Let me see what I'm going to do with it." And I like made a whole tunic, and it was like gold, and it was cool, and it was draped, and it was like almost like a piece of armor you could put on
yeah.
your chest. And that I made in 10 hours. I just had the thing. Like time didn't exist. I just was like waved a wand and it was done. And it ended up, and I have no idea if this is even gonna like how it's gonna dry, if she's gonna be able to wear it. I'm not sure. And that was the most celebrated piece actually out of
Yeah,
things that I had made. And it was so
that took
fun.
10
And
hours?
so, yeah, and
Wow,
like I can't wait to do it again.
that's awesome. I can First off, that's amazing. If you guys haven't seen it, you go check out the piece. You can find it on her Instagram on artwork.com. But that was an amazing piece. And that was for the what was it? That was last year's event, right? Or 2 years ago?
Yeah, every year I do a wearable art fashion show. That was
Yeah.
last year. Yeah.
Oh, last year's. Okay. That was awesome. Now, first off, how do you have 10 hours in a day to dedicate to one thing? Because you've got your hands in everything. So,
Yeah,
I mean,
that's
you're
it.
in,
Go ahead.
I would say you're with Newtown Experience, you're Women United, like the arts, you're also doing jury selection for celebrating women in the arts. How do you sleep?
I will say I'm not a good sleeper. That's for sure. I'm usually up at I have that free 3:30 thing. I'm up always at that time. And then sometimes I can go back to sleep and sometimes I can't. But yeah, there's just so much to do. But there's so many things that I'm like so excited about that I want to pursue. And I've always had a lot of energy and I've always been able to move pretty quickly for things. My mind is like this crazy, fast, like spiraling thing that, if you saw all my notebooks of like ideas, it's everywhere. It's like book after book after book. And I'm like, that good idea last year. And then I'll go back and there it is. So I have to write everything down because it's in it. I'm already on to the next. But yeah, the balance is tricky. It was harder in the beginning. It was harder right when I first started because I was putting a lot of weight on what I was going to make personally for my wearables and then the gallery and then the artist. And then about a year and a half into it, Anthony, I decided that really I need to focus on the artist and the space. And so I put what I was making on hold a bit. And I will always go back to that. I have a solo show that's like an immersive that I want to do with my work. That will happen at some point. It's being planned as all the other things are going on. I think that this work of this space is so important and so valuable that I'll always have time. So I make sure that before the Wearable Art Fashion Show, that's when I really focus. I do a line and I put it out there. And if somebody wants a custom piece and they come to me, I'll make. I'm doing more custom things now than just making to make. So people will come in and I'll meet with them and I'll make something for them. And that is in the last couple of years how I've moved through time.
do, you- do you have a notebook for each section for the wearables, for the curation space? Do you have, or is it just everything?
I wish I was organized like that. I am not.
I don't know. The teacher did.
But it's so funny. My friend got me a reading, like a star chart reading. And I'm like, oh, my parents were really into that. I'm like, fine, I'll go. Like, thank you. And I went and she did your birth chart, whatever. And mine looked like like a literal star exploding, spot in the middle. And she just looked at me and she was like, oh my God, how do you get anything done with your brain like this? And I'm like, I know, it's great. So I say it's chaos. It's organized chaos. That's the best way.
That's awesome. You said that you moved your shift a little bit from yourself to the artist,
Yeah.
and that now you have Oleg in residence. What's that like?
Oh my gosh. So Oleg Simon, it was a serendipitous meeting, actually. A friend of mine started talking to him at Joanne's fabric store. So random. And she was like, and he was making this bag. And so she said, oh my God, my friend has this gallery. You're doing wearables. She does wearables. You should meet her. So he came to me. And now Oleg is such a special human being. Talk about minds. His mind is insane. His artist toolbox is massive. There's nothing that he can't do. I've seen him do woodwork. I've seen him do 3D design. I've seen him draw. He's sewing. He's making sculptures. He's doing everything. And he just has this like beautiful sense of how he walks the world, which is just absolute gratitude for all of the small things that people just take for granted. So I knew he would be a great candidate for the residency. Now, I met him last year and he was in the Wearable Fashion Show. That was his first sort of collaboration with the gallery. And last year, I had Greta Carr, who was
Mhm.
also amazing. And she had a beautiful residency, and her show was really well received. And I just kept thinking about him for this year. And so, yeah, so I pitched it to our donor. We have a private donor who supports the residency here, who lives in Bucks County, who just loves what we're doing here in the gallery. And this is his second year, the foundation's second year for supporting. And I had a meeting and I talked about Oleg and made the introduction. And it's important to me that they want to work with him too, because I offer opportunities for everyone to come together. So now not only is the donor, the founder meeting the artist that they're supporting, but also it's like within the space. So this is what I mean about breaking down these typical structures where it's like somebody donates money and you never see them, you never meet.
Yeah.
And so there's more investment, right? There's investment in the community. There's investment in what he's making. There's interest. There's curiosity. There's like all these boxes we're checking. Yeah. And he's been just an absolute joy. He's been an absolute joy. And I'm excited. He's like me, right? His mind is everywhere. So he's got simultaneously, he's got paintings he's working on. He's got charcoals he's working on. He's working on stitching these amazing, crazy engineered bags. He's working on a sculpture piece all at the same time.
Wow.
So this show's going to be pretty insane.
And his show's going to be in August, correct?
Correct.
That's awesome. We'll get back to the podcast in just a second, but I just wanted to tell you about what I do. I've been a licensed realtor in Bucks County for the past 20 years. I serve Bucks County, Montgomery County, Philadelphia, New Jersey, all over the place. And I also have helped out hundreds of families buy, sell, and invest in real estate. So if that's something that you're interested in doing, don't hesitate to call me. Reach out, DM me, whatever you need to do, and let's start working together. All right, now we'll be back to the podcast. What is it like to, in the process of the applying on your website to be an artist in residence? Do you meet with them ahead of time? Is there different candidates, or is it something that you and your donor pick?
A lot of those things. So I do have on the website under the artist, the drop down tab, it does have artist submissions. And so you can submit for interest in a solo show, you can submit for a group show. If there's one coming up, it's listed there like an open call. So you can actually say that is the show you're particularly interested in, the residency. So you can choose all kinds of different things in the way that you want to relate to the space. Yeah. And then it's some questions you fill out, samples of work. And then that sort of acts as my catch-all. And so when I'm looking for artists, I'll go through that. And that's for all things, like for a solo show, if I'm looking to introduce a new artist to our community, I'll look through that and I'll say, oh, this would be really interesting. And then always go out to the studio. I always, if it's under 6 hours, I am going to the studio. That's another
Oh,
one of my
really?
absolute favorite this place.
Yeah,
This space is the studio visits. Yeah, I actually thought I should probably write a book about them at some point.
you should.
I know. It's insane. It's amazing.
First off, your life is like a movie. So you seriously, you moved from California, you go to Boston, you're acting. There was furniture restoration and the flipping type of in there as well. You worked with wood, correct? You
Yeah,
went
well,
that
my
way.
father was a woodworker.
Okay, so that's
So,
how you learned.
yes, so I learned a lot from him, from watching him. But I love woodworking. I absolutely love it. It's my
So then you work with leathers, you look for metals. Then you have your own lines every year. And then you do focus on stuff. And then you're curating everyone else. And then you're on every council. You're also on Newtown Experience. What's
Yes.
that like?
Oh, that's newly formed. That's fantastic. It's actually a great group of people. So Andy Smith from the Newtown Theater, Nicole Radowitz, who was on council, who's a really big
Mhm.
activist. She also ran for mayor this past year, ran for mayor. And then Barry Slack, who is a huge Newtown support. And we all are representing different sort of parts of the community, but all with the same goal. And yeah, so we just formed that nonprofit last year.
That's awesome. Now how does that work with if someone wants to start a nonprofit in the Newtown area? Was it hard? Was it challenging, or was it just empowering to you?
That depends on the nonprofit. Like the Newtown Experience nonprofit, Nicole really took the lead on that. She's the president of that board, and it was pretty cut and dry. Now, my moving into a nonprofit has been much more complicated. So I think it just depends on what is the vision for the nonprofit. The Newtown Experience is more like a community driven kind of nonprofit where I'm talking about a whole nother world completely. So
Yeah,
it is, it gets a little heady for sure. How that's
of
all
course.
working out.
I'm glad it worked out. During that time, probably wasn't so much fun. But do you see? And again, let's say you're going to the artist. Do you go and you're going all around? You're doing tours. You're thinking about doing another small tour in the fall as well.
For the studio tour.
Yes.
For the Bucks County Studio Tour, yeah. So I had gotten a grant from Visit Bucks for last year's studio tour, which was really awesome. And the feedback that I had gotten from the community was Bucks County is massive, right? So we had studios very upper Bucks and then very lower Bucks. So people were like, oh, we couldn't get to everything in a day. Can you separate them? And so I've been thinking a lot about that particular comment. We are going to do a small one in the fall, a very small one in one location, but I'm working on a sort of a new spin on the idea of the studio tour, which is going to be really amazing. And I'm pretty excited about it. I can't really get into that yet because I'm doing some collaborations, but it'll be a new version of a wonderful experience for the community and easier
But
to get around.
you know what you should get? You get Sterling from Newtown to give you like a bus.
Yeah.
The I met them at. I actually ran into the salesman at Triple Sun, and we were talking about that. That'd be cool. Get Triple Sun drinks, get Sterling, and then they can do like the big conversion vans to drive around to all through Bucks County.
That would
You
be
know,
awesome.
it'd be
Yeah.
dangerous, but be fun.
It would be very dangerous. Yes.
It'd be a lot of fun though. I think I would loosen up a little bit and have a couple drinks and then actually ask the artist something. What is your favorite town to find? Like, I know you're partial to Newtown, but is there any other areas in Bucks County that you've seen where it's okay? This is inspiration. This is something empowering. This is something emerging for art wise.
Bucks County has little, like, beautiful, like, nooks everywhere, to be honest. I've just been on a drive and come across something that looks interesting and popped in. The studio tour was really helpful in that way. I think a lot of people were like, oh my God, I didn't even know this was here. And it was like in their backyard. I think there's quite a few, we'll call them galleries, but they're artist owned. So there's quite a few artist owned galleries that are really amazing, like doing some different things than traditional work. And there's also some amazing organizations. We have tons of arts organizations. Most lean a little bit towards traditional, but like New Hope Arts is doing amazing things. Phillips Mill, they're also leaning a little bit more. There's traditional, but a little bit more into to some other things. And so I think there's this general sort of openness occurring within Bucks County for non-traditional work. And I think it's just going to get more and more prevalent for sure.
You're probably paving the way. They were, they're all classically trained and think this is a traditional way to do it. You don't see the artists. You don't touch the paintings. You don't, you know what I mean? You're very stiff,
Yeah.
but yours is a little bit more relaxed and more fun, I guess.
Yeah, it has to be welcoming. The whole point is that it's inclusive, right? And people want to come in and they want to learn about it. And I'm always here. So people come in and they hang out with me and they learn something new, right? And I love talking about the artists because I know all about them because I've spent all of this time with them. So for me, it's like talking about a friend, right? Something that your friend is, when your friend is doing something amazing and you're talking about it, like, oh, you could have just seen what they were doing or look at this new thing they're working on. This is how I feel about it. Like I genuinely care about all the artists that I work with, and I want them to feel supported and to feel celebrated. Yeah, and I represent 10 artists out of the space. And we've shown over, I don't even know at this point, way over 300 artists. How
Yeah,
comes?
hundreds, easily.
Yeah, yeah, easily.
You have this sense of
I love
pride.
it.
Yeah, I
I'm
mean,
just celebrating everyone's.
why not? I mean, you have this sense of pride from speaking about the artists. Is there a certain artist right now that you see coming up in the Bucks County or area that people should know about more?
Oh my gosh,
I know.
there's so
Pick,
many of those,
pick your
Anthony.
favorite child. That's his favorite thing.
Can't. There's so many of those. There's
All right, we'll
so
do
many.
top 5. How's that?
I can't do the top 5.
Uh,
That would be, yeah, that's a pick your, you can't do that. But what I will say is on my website, you can see the artists that I represent. So there's amazing work in there. There's also some new artists that are new to Bucks County that are actually international artists that are doing some really amazing things. I think that the best thing to do is follow all of the exhibitions that I have, because every person that's in here, I would say, would be an answer to that question.
yeah.
Honestly.
I,
There's not
I
one
like
isn't better than the other. They just have different stories and they're so fascinating.
I dove into Michael Palladino. Like I couldn't find his artwork yet on your site, but I googled and then a little bit farther in.
Oh
So
yeah, he's under the artist section on my site. Michael Palladino is one of the best-selling artists that I show in the gallery for sure.
yeah,
Michael's been with me from the beginning. I think that he's really accessible. People love the wood and the encaustic combination. There's something very rich and grounding about them. And he's prolific. He is prolific. He has an idea. It'll be like a series of 25 without blinking. He is working. And he's also a great human being. That's the other thing is all these artists that I work with also, they have to also be great people
yeah.
because I'm working so closely with them, right? Yeah. He has a big following for sure.
That's also empowering to you because it's your space, so it's your home. So you're letting these artists come into your home. So you need to make sure that not only that they're good artists, but they're good people, and you're vetting them and putting them out to the Bucks County world. So
Yes.
that's a big pressure on you as well to back one artist if guests know. But you also, I was thinking while we were talking about, it, you should do like a top 25 every year, or top 10, or artists that that'd be cool. Ashara's top 10 for the year. Who's who coming up in Bucks County?
Yeah, I think I would do maybe like emerging like outsider artists. Outsider artists are, like I said, I have an affinity for them and they're the ones that go under the radar a lot. So it would be nice, I think, to do that.
Now, you can't tell me much about what's coming up, but hypothetically speaking, what do you have planned for our work, Arrarrocha? What is it in next? What's 26, 27 looking like? In one of the 50 notebooks that you have.
27 is going to be wild. I'll say that. I have some collaborations that are in the works with the sculptural art, wearable art fashion show. I have some collaborations with some other spaces in New Hope. We're going to do the district's tour, like I had said. We'll be in our latter half of our nonprofit sort of evolution, right? So I have committees that are starting to form. I have board members that are coming on. It is a powerhouse of incredible human beings. And I've been essentially by myself. I've had artists in residence that have helped and some interns and things, but this is a game changer for me. Just to have those kinds of minds and support in the spaces that are not really my strength spaces. I'm more a visionary, a community builder. So it'll be huge for that. I want to create a certificate of mastery program. So an education piece to the nonprofit, which just goes back to the old way of learning, which is master apprentice. So one-on-one. So that's going to be a whole sort of shift in arts education. And then I'm working with the mayor and the council trying to build out this cultural district in Newtown and this creative arts district and applying for a grant through the PA creative districts to infuse arts initiatives into Newtown. So that's a big game changer too for the town.
And without sleeping at all.
Who needs it?
Yeah. That's a validation though, that now that you have the support, that this vision you had in 22 to now, to what it's evolved to, and to do the art district and everything in Newtown, that's championing you in this whole space. Now, with that being said, there's a point where you're gonna pull back a little bit, maybe not work 10-hour days, and no, not you're not
No
gonna
way.
stop.
Not a chance. That is just not in my DNA, Anthony. I have to say.
I didn't think it was. I didn't
And
think it
have
was. I already knew the answer, but
yeah. Will it morph and shift and whatnot? Yeah. The idea of the nonprofit was like, I want to get this really built and this legacy happening. And then, yeah, eventually pass the torch of that, of course. And I want that to keep maintaining and feeding the creative community. But yeah, yeah, I don't want to be stagnant. I want to be constantly creating and following my curiosity.
that is amazing. And I read somewhere that you were talking about how art is the true history since everything's becoming digital nowadays. And so, with that being said, do you feel like one piece should be commissioned now in Bucks County that needs to be placed in the history books? Do you have? I know this is again. I'm picking your favorite
No,
childhood, but
no, this is a good question because actually, so for July, I have a group show called The Ideology of Revolution. And there's about 29 different artists that are taking part in this group show. So it's a huge slice of what does that actually mean to our local artists. So it's New Jersey, PA, New York based artists. And I would say that entire show in a catalog would answer your question.
yeah,
It's so fascinating to hear people's take on what is revolution and what should be discussed in text. And you'd be surprised, actually, I would say.
and that's gonna be in July, correct?
Yes, that's July, and the last pit goes into August and it ends August 9th.
Okay, all right, good. We'll definitely have to check that out. I definitely have to check all this out. I
Yeah,
have to
now
come
that I
in.
know where you are, I'm gonna hold you to it because you're my neighbor.
Yeah, I've walked past. I must have walked past your gallery 1,000 times, and it's because it's intimidating. Art's intimidating to people that have no clue. I'm not art. I can draw a stick figure, but what is some advice you give to the non arts type to learn it? Because again, it is you need a greater understanding and you need a broadening of your mind. What is your advice to someone that who is a novice in the art game?
Yeah, I think that it's the way that you're thinking about it. It's not that you have to know something about art to appreciate art or to feel like you're connected to the artist community. It's just someone else that's part of our society and how they see the world. You see the world in one way, they see the world in this other way. So it's so different, right? It's just a way of expressing. So I think just follow your curiosity. If you follow your curiosity and you follow your commitment to community and what's happening around, then it feels less overwhelming. I think the whole stigma of the art world is what you're responding to. But that's not what we're doing here. And also, that's fallen part of it. The art world
Hmm.
is having its own sort of rebirth and renaissance about that as well. And they're understanding that in order to reach more people, there has to be connection. This sort of sterile gallery thing it's not going to have legs for long.
That's
That's my
awesome,
thought anyway.
and that's because of you, right?
I'm
I
going to
think
work
so.
on it.
Yeah, listen, I think you're championing that because again, that is always something that was a fear walking into. We have a lot of great museums and we have a lot of great art in Philadelphia and Bucks County, but again, you walk in and you don't know what you're looking at.
Right.
But now that you're there 24/7, I can ask the dumb questions and talk to the artists and see what's coming up. So that's
Yeah, and
awesome.
I've had that experience myself as an artist. So as an artist walking in and having that experience, we're doing something wrong there, right? As an artist coming into an art space, I should always feel welcome. So should everyone else. So yeah, so we're reinventing the whole experience here.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for talking with me today and teaching me and teaching everyone about artwork and all that you do. And this has been eye opening because I think that there's a lot of people like me that don't know art, would love to enjoy art, would love to talk to the artists, but again, you don't know.
Anthony, thank you, by the way, for doing the Bucks County Living podcast.
That's it.
So nice to have a support system and giving us a platform to share what we're working on and how we care about our community. Obviously, you do too, and I really appreciate that. It really means a lot. So
Of
thank
course,
you.
this is in our backyard. This is our home, and this is what
Yeah.
Bucks County is. And I think more stories like this and more people like you need to be promoted. So that's the whole point, and I appreciate it,
Easier said
guys.
than done, my friend. Thank you.
Of course. Guys, check out this podcast. Follow along. You can subscribe to on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, wherever you listen to your podcast. Check out Ashara, and I'll see you next week. Thank you. Thanks for joining the podcast today. If you want to hear more, click the link below and check out our other episodes. If you're looking to be on the podcast, feel free to reach out to me, DM me, whatever you need to do. I'd love to hear your voice. I'd love to share your stories. Have a good one.